what I'm doing. I'm starting well down. I always like to fish myself into the best places. There's no rocket science to this fishing with Klinkhamers. My leader's a bog standard 7.5 foot tapered to 3 pound, to which I've put on a tippet of about 2.5 feet of, or a couple of feet of 2.6 bear. So there's the standard LT series with a blue dun hackle and white wing post. And I know this run reasonably well, and the fish tend to lie, the actual depth and movement current is down the far side. There's fairly steady water in front of me, so it's not exactly perfect, because what happens is the fly tends to hinge. It swings around, it leaves this part here more or less sat where the cast drops, so you can pick up and drop it downstream and get the drift going a bit longer. But it's gin clear, and I'm really cautious about moving my fly line. I want to make as little disturbance as I can on the surface. So whenever the fly's going along at current speed, I'm just going to let it ride. All I'm doing, I'm feeding in a bit of slack. So this is probably going to be a bit of a test of the old Klink, because it's coolish, there's a breeze blowing. I'm not going to walk in the water, I can cover it without wading, and I'll just work my way up this side, up this far side, and the fly's drifting about 7 or 8 feet before it starts any perceptible drag. The best way to check drag is to watch anything that's on the water that's floating and untethered, and if your fly is going along at the same speed as a fleck of foam, then it's not dragging. If it's going faster or slower, doesn't have to be making a bow wave, to be dragging. There's that thing called invisible drag. So if it's going slightly faster than a fleck of foam, and a fish showed interest there, I don't think it was a big fish, but he came up and had a look at it. Oh, damn! My common fault, because I'm used to striking fast for grayling. Up came a fish and bloody well missed. Well, missing the odd fish is part of the course in fly fishing, but if you keep missing them, then you've got to do something about it. That's apart from giving yourself a good talking to. Now, the current now is speeding up, and because the Klinkhamers are essentially a fast water fly or a swiftish water fly, I'm expecting now ahead of me to make contact. But so far, one fish missed, no fish rising. Just got to be patient. I'm keeping out of the water. There's no point in disturbing the water. I can cover it adequately. Don't miss out any little bays in stones on the far side. Even a cattle hoof print is sometimes worth dropping your fly into. Remember, where you get a bank that's untrammeled by anglers, and that far bank is, there's not even stock in the field. Fish will hug really tight in. Now, if you get a downstream breeze as strong as it is today, you can run into real problems using the current fad of extra long leaders, because with a fly like this you will not turn it over, so all you'll get is tuck back all day long. So you're better off you're better off with something like what I've got. I've known me shorten down to the straightforward 7.5 foot leader. Fly tied straight on the end, no tippet. So if you've got anything like an adverse breeze, don't be silly and try being clever with a long leader. It's just not worth it. What I do sometimes, I walk upstream as I'm casting, and then you know you're not going to be taken by surprise. Now, as soon as I've got current speed between me and the fly, tracking at something like fly speed, I can start to fish, if I want, a little bit squarer across. There's no need to be casting directly upstream all the time. So I've now got what I call a straight through traverse. Everything's moving along at the same flow. I can even afford to let it come downstream below me. Pick off, false cast, knock it over. Down the far side, and a fish. Well, that came up, just sucked it in, and that just shows you, doesn't it, eh? The magic of this pattern. Not a fish rose, no sign of a fish. All of a sudden, out of the blue, up comes a nose and takes it. It's not a big fish, but, you know, Dale's fish are supposed to be 2 to pound. And if you get half-pounders, what the hell? I'm sure we'd all be pleased for 20 half-pounders in a day. Well, it's a pretty fish. I'll see if I can bring him straight into my hand. Wet my hand so you don't get a thermal shock. Ease him in. There we go. Typical Dale's brownie. What's that? 10 inch, say? Now, look at size of fish compared to the fly. I'll just drop him in so that he can just pass a bit of water through. Look at size of fly compared to fish. You're normally thinking in terms of size 16 paradons or, I don't know, small CDCs. That fly is a monster compared to the fish. And this is what I want to emphasise about Klinkhamers. I'll slip you back. He wants to go. Go on, lad. The fly doesn't have to be tiny. Most people are fishing Klinkhamers. Well, they call them Klinkhamers, but all they are in actual fact are curve-bodied paradons, curve-bodied parachutes. The Klinkhammer is a big fly. The Klinkhammer is quite a monster in your fly box. Do it again, 2 cheeks full of air, and I guarantee you that'll sit like a cork again. The Klinkhammer must appear to the fish as a right big juicy steak drifting down. So, out of nowhere, bang, thank you, a fish. That wasn't bad really, a decent start. We're going to have a cup of tea, I think, and then I'll go up this run. I think there's a chance of a couple of more fish yet before I'm through with this. I've just left the bank now. I don't need to be on the bank because it just cuts in a little bay. And I want to be able to command all this streamy water over there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the fly as long as I can in that tongue of water. I'll finish every drift a few yards below me. Another trick to bear in mind when you're fishing with Klinkhammers is that when you get into really fast water, you can start to up the size of the Klinkhammer to exceedingly large ones. Remember that a fish in rough water has to think the fly that it's coming up to take is worth the effort. a case of calories expended equals calories replaced. So in a situation like this now, I could quite easily get away with a fly a lot bigger than this. You will find that sometimes your clink will get in a bit of undertow and get pulled under, and it won't be a fish. It'll just wink out and it won't be a fish. It'll be the undertow grabbing the body and sucking it down. I think the fish are missed lower down in the steadier water with a grayling. They are sometimes monkeys to hook on any fly. Now the real shoot of water over there might just be a waste of time. If we were on an alpine river or in Scandinavia, where there's no choice but to live in that kind of water, then yes, worth fishing. But on this river, with the contours of the river, the topography of the river, fast shoots, then long steady glides, they like to lay in comfort zones. So that's the comfort zone there on the inside of that bend. Fly's just being sucked under by the current. So provided you keep lowish and just search out the inside there, that's the bit that's going to give you the best chance just here. And there's a fish. Just took it on the edge in the exact spot I thought there'd be a fish. Again, it's not a plonker. There'll be another nice half-pound wildy. Quite spirited. I'll just get myself down so that I can bring him into this little bit of a bay here. Come on, sunshine. I'll just take a bit in. I need to tidy this mess up anyway. The scrap a little thing like this puts up. It's amazing. You've got to bear in mind that, as I said earlier, they're all wildies. Lovely little half-pound fish, probably just a tad under half-pound. Go on, off you go. Right, well, it's working its magic, is this fly, and I would really be unhappy in a no hatch, no rice situation without my box full of clinks. Of course, no one can control the size of fish that attack your fly, and that could have been a pound fish. The other thing that a lot of anglers, particularly beginners, slip up with when they're fishing rivers is they have the concrete boot syndrome. They just stay and peg away in one spot all day long. You've got to remember, these fish are stationary on the fin in a lie, facing upstream, waiting for food coming down on the conveyor. They're not swimming about like reservoir fish, aren't these? These fish are basically stationary. So if you just sit there in one spot all day, well, you may not have a fish within casting range for starters. So you've got to keep moving. Think of it this way: the fish you're casting to may not be feeding, but the fish 3 rod lengths away may well be. So keep moving, keep showing your fly, in a new place, 2 or 3 casts, same place, then move. Because I reckon, in all seriousness, that if a fish sees a mouthful that he wants, generally speaking, and there's exceptions to any rule, but generally speaking, he's going to have it first pass over him, because he lives in this world of competition. If he don't grab it, another one below him is going to do. So now I'm literally running out of new places to fish in this particular spot. I've got all the white water now ahead of me. There's little bits over at the far side which a change of angle might just induce something. Down by that grass there's a little bit there which I just hit, and all you're relying on is the moment of instant touchdown. But I do always try to search out all the spots, and sometimes I'll even let it run downstream by stretching my arms. That's gone in. Stretching my arms, make the best of it. It's very, very, what shall I call it, inelegant fishing, but it sometimes works. And that bit over there, just ahead of that dead bole of that tree, that's really hardly worth a throw, because the current, the fierce current, this side of it is dragging like hell. So no, it's a waste of time that. So drop it back into this, just shorten off. Last cast,